friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. I feel like it has been forever since I have sat down in front of my phone to film a booktube video. I did pre-film a bunch of videos for while I was gone on my trip to Turkey, but I am back. It was a wonderful trip. I am working on putting together some pictures and some music for a little vlog of the time that I was away so you can get some of the highlights. It was just amazing. It was exhausting, but it was an amazing trip. But here we are halfway through the month of July, and although I was gone until the 10th of July and only read 2 books while I was gone, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've finished 7, almost 8 books so far this month altogether. So I just figured I would continue with this trend of doing a mid-month check-in because I really like stopping halfway through the month so that I don't have a huge amount of books to talk about at the end of the month. So let me just take a minute to quickly run through the books that I have read so far this month. And I feel like I just want to kind of chat a little bit. So this might be a bit of a chatty video, but I will start by telling you the books that I've read so far this month. I did take Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan on my trip with me. I did leave the copy that I had in Turkey to bless somebody else with that fun read. I really did think that it was the perfect kind of a read to bring on a trip with me. I was not incredibly emotionally invested in the story. It was rather lighthearted. There were a bit of heavy topics that were discussed, and prejudice and grief, but it was all encased in this extreme wealth, and I didn't really find myself connecting so much with the characters because they were just so far beyond my normal type of lifestyle and just spending money. I'm like, oh my word, what I could do with that money. The things that I could pay off and do with the amount of money that you're spending on a dress or a pair of earrings or whatever was a little ridiculous. However, I am very interested in continuing with this trilogy. I have the 3rd book out from the library and I'm waiting for the 2nd one to come in on holds because I would like to just kind of fly through the whole trilogy. I do want to watch the movie, which is the main reason I read the books. There weren't books that jumped out at me as ones that I needed to read when they first came out, but when I saw the trailer for the movie, I knew it was one that I would want to watch, and of course, I feel like I need to read the books first. I was reading the book in Turkey, and my mom asked me this question, did such and such happen yet? I'm like, Mom, because she's seen the movie, and she totally spoiled something, which it was kind of obvious, the question that she asked, that it was going to happen. However, it's not something that happened in book 1. Which is why I need to read the rest of the trilogy before watching the movie, because clearly something happens in the movie that doesn't occur in book 1. It's clearly going to happen. It's very predictable that it's going to happen, but it just didn't happen yet. So there you have it. I'm very interested in finishing that trilogy. Also, during my trip, I did read a book on my Kindle, Matchmaking for Beginners, and I honestly cannot remember who wrote it. It was one of the books that I talked about in my Books on my Kindle video. Excuse me. And it was like the fluffy, lighthearted contemporary, and that's exactly what it was. It's about a woman who marries for a hot minute this jerk of a guy, but in that hot minute, she gets to know his aunt, who is quite eccentric and has abilities to kind of see who belongs together, and lives in a house in Brooklyn and rents out or is connected with the other people that live in her building, or she kind of collects people and projects and they live in this building with her. She finds herself connected to this woman, and the aunt leaves this home in Brooklyn to this girl. The marriage doesn't work out. It quickly is ended, but this girl feels a little, not trapped, I guess trapped. She ends up moving back home to where her parents live in Florida, and feels like life is just kind of happening to her and she doesn't really have control over things. She feels like she's happy, but she's still just not making decisions for herself. Her sister and her parents are kind of force feeding her this life. So when this aunt passes away and leaves her this home in Brooklyn, there's a condition attached to it and she decides to go for it. And then her whole course of her life changes. So it's a cute little story. It was very quick read. We ended up having a bit of trouble. We missed our last connecting flight we were in Frankfurt, Germany, and we missed our flight to get to JFK in New York. And so we had to spend a night in a hotel in Germany. And that is pretty much when I read this book, on that last travel day, which ended up being 2 days of travel. So I finished the whole book during the bus and the train and not the train. I didn't read it on the subway, but we were on a train. On the flights, 2 flights, and in the hotel, and yeah, whatever. It was a quick read, but it was cute, but it wasn't like blowing my socks off or anything like that. I finished 2 more books that were part of my librarian recommending project. So I'm not going to talk about those too much, but I did read The Remarkable Journey of Coyote Sunrise by Dan Gemeinhart, which is a middle grade. Let me just say I loved it. I was talking to someone yesterday about Frederick Bachman and why I love Frederick Bachman, how he writes such quirky characters, but his stories have so much heart. And I feel like Coyote Sunrise book was very much that. It had a lot of quirky characters, but so much heart. I cried by the end. I'm not going to talk about it more. I pretty much just told you that I love that book. And I also listened to the audio of The Hazelwood by Melissa Elbert, I think. You'll see. This was another recommended by the librarian book, so I'm not going to talk about it here. I did not love this one as much, but I also don't think I hated it, or I don't know. It got such mixed reviews. I'm not going to talk about it here. Krista. It was okay. It was just okay. Then for my in real life book club, we kind of are echoing what I did with my Goodreads club in May, in that we had to read an Agatha Christie, like choose your own Agatha Christie. And so I read recently Murder on the Orient, and then there were none, but then someone recommended, this is from my recommendations video from the very beginning of the year when you guys helped me to choose books for the year. And so the ABC Murders is another Agatha Christie that I finished. I definitely did not like this one as much as the other 2. It was okay, but I found myself confused a lot of the time. Who are these people? There is a list of the characters at the front, which I did refer to a couple times, but I just found myself not caring as much about this one. But again, I just love how she spins this web and then ties it all together at the end, and you really figure out, like, you feel like you're picking up on clues all the way through, but then when the reveal happens at the end of how it all happened, you're like, whoa, kind of brilliant. Agatha Christie was super brilliant when it comes to spinning a good mystery and dropping the clues, but not dropping enough of the clues that you really figure it out. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it for sure. But talking about those books that you guys had recommended to me, I know I mentioned that in almost every video that I do. I am going to put a link down below to the Goodreads list that I created at the beginning of the year. This is where you can find the whole list of books that were recommended to me, because I know a few of you have asked about that, wanting to see that full list. So I will put a link down below for that, the Goodreads list, because I think all 90 or 91, I think one or two of them are on there double by mistake. So I think there are actually 90 books that were recommended to me. So don't add any books to that list, but feel free to vote for any that I haven't read yet that you want to kind of push up to the top of the list. You'll see that the ones at the very top I have pretty much read already, but I am working my way through those 90 books. I definitely don't think I'm going to get to all of them this year, but I'm making good progress. Anyhow, back to the books that I've read so far. I pretty much finished this in June, but for some reason, my audiobook would not let me listen to the last 2 minutes of the book. So I had to wait until I got home from my trip to finish Anna Karenina. I finished Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. This is a book that I started in March. It is now July. So this took me way longer than it should have. And I think I'm giving it I might have given it 3 stars on Goodreads. Really, it should be a 2 because I just didn't care. I finished it. I did it, but it was more of just like for wanting to say, yes, I did it, than because I cared one whit about this story. But the main plot, I believe you could say, is about these 2 couples. Anna Karenina and her love interest, who is a case of her having an affair. She's a married woman and has an affair with this man, and they're really in love and blah blah blah. But are they really, or is it just the fun of the affair? Then we kind of contrast that relationship with, on the audio it calls him Lievin. I would have read it Levin, but this guy who has 17 first names and one last name, and one of the girls, Kitty, and their marriage and their love for each other, and how that is kind of more slower to bloom. It's just mainly these two relationships contrasted, but throw in there like how to harvest wheat for like 80 pages. I exaggerate, but there are a lot of really boring political talks and agricultural discussions, and Lievin has kind of an existential crisis of faith and what does he really believe, and some of that was interesting, but it just would go on and on and on. And I didn't care. But I finished it, guys. I finished it. Yay, me. And I know there are people who really, really, really love this book. I'm just not one of them. I think maybe I dragged it out too long, and that's why I didn't love it as much. I kept interspersing other books in the midst of it, and so I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. So, but I did it. It's done. Yay. That was one of my 5 classics that I wanted to read this year. So check. That's one more goal working towards being accomplished. The final book that I finished so far this month is Waiting for Tom Hanks by Carrie Winfrey. I just started this yesterday and finished it today. It was sweet and fun, perfect for summer. I had a beach day yesterday. Some of my extended family were at Virginia Beach, so I drove a couple hours to go spend a day at the beach house with them and at the ocean, and this is the book that I brought with me, and it was absolutely perfect for that kind of a day. Lighthearted. This is like a love song to 90s and early 2000 rom-com movies. The main girl character in here is obsessed with romantic comedies and wants to write her own screenplay for a romantic comedy. She wants her love life to kind of echo some of the tropes that are in romantic comedies, and she asks guys that she goes out on dates with if they have a houseboat or other types of tropes that are in Nora Ephron and other romantic comedies. But so she's not looking specifically for Tom Hanks, but for that type of a character from You've Got Mail and Sleepless in Seattle. It was so cute, and it was very tropey, but I loved it. I was here for all of it. So this movie comes to town. A rom-com is going to be set, part of the movie is going to be set in her town. She, through her uncle, has a connection to the director and ends up being his assistant. Of course, the main actor in the movie that's being shot is the love interest of this book, and they have a very hate to love kind of bickering back and forth, a very rom-com like relationship that kind of blossoms from there with a few hurdles to jump over, of course. But it was just very sweet and lighthearted and fun. Such a great summertime read. I loved it. I really loved it. I think I gave it 4 stars. So it wasn't like blowing my socks off emotionally, but it was exactly what I wanted to read at this time, following my trip, like not having the brain space for something heavy and deep. I am in the middle, near the end, like in the second half of listening to American Street by E.B. Zaboy. This is a YA book that was also part of my Librarian Recommends project. I'm really doing well. I think I only have 2 left after American Street. One of them is a John Grisham, which I just am not in the mood for right now, but we'll see. I am working on putting together my Reading Rush TBR. That is sort of like the Booktubeathon. It's happening next week, and I'm working on putting together the books that I want to read for that. I did leave things very open for July. I don't think I really made a TBR for the month at all. I'm not having a book for my Goodreads read along this month, which is kind of taking a month off, which I haven't done in 3 years. So yeah, we'll see. I also want to read the other 2 books for the Crazy Rich Asians trilogy. yeah, I'm just leaving it open. I'm excited about the little pile I have started for the reading rush. We'll see how many more I finish in the last half of the month, but I am excited to be home and back and making videos again. I have a few things up my sleeve. I didn't realize that Jane Austen July was a thing. So I am still planning on focusing on some Jane Austen books in the month of August, but I also have a few buddy read things coming up. Yeah, so I'm just excited to be back and be here and to share with you about my trip. Hopefully that will come soon, but it's a bear. I have a few hundred pictures, like 600 or 700 pictures to go through to try to put together for a vlog. I did not end up making like end of the day clips or anything like that. Things were busy, and I was just trying to enjoy every moment that I was there. So there will be some video clips, but it might just be more of a photo montage of different things that I got to see while I was in Turkey. It's a beautiful country. I loved my trip. I was so thankful to my brother who set up our itinerary and was the most fabulous guide. But yeah, it was exhausting and so wonderful. But here we are, back to reading, back to my routine now. I've been home for almost a week. Or just about a week tonight. So it's time to get back into the swing of things, and I feel like I'm doing that pretty well. But there's my check-in for this week. I hope that you are all having a wonderful month of July. Oh, my birthday happened while I was gone. So yay, I'm another year older. I was in Turkey and I ate a delicious dinner, and one of my favorite places that we got to go see happened on my birthday. So you'll see that a bit in the video. I did get to go to Ephesus, the ruins of the city of Ephesus, on my birthday. And then we had these loaded waffles for dessert, which were amazing. Other than that, that's it. I usually try to have some kind of a barbecue or something here at my house just to celebrate a little bit, but no book haul. I don't have a book haul for my birthday because I haven't bought any extra books for my birthday because I was gone for 2 weeks, and all my extra money is going to pay my rent this month. That's okay. I had a huge book haul in June, and I'm sure that will happen again soon. Anyways, I keep rambling now, so I'm going to wrap it up. I love you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments down below about any of the books I mentioned today or just how your July is going, and I'm sure that I will be talking to you in another video very soon. Bye!